So we lift our hands and we lift our hearts as we offer up this praise unto your name. Welcome into this place. Welcome into this broken vessel. You desire to abide in the praises of your people. So we lift our hands and we lift our hearts as we offer up this praise unto your name. Welcome into this place. Welcome into this broken vessel. You desire to abide in the praises of your people. So we lift our hands and we lift our hearts as we offer up this praise unto your name. Welcome into this place. Welcome into this broken vessel. You desire to abide in the praises of your people. So we lift our hands as we lift our hearts as we offer up this praise unto your name.
All right, you can be seated. I'll just give you a few quick announcements. So next Tuesday, June 30th, you have all been warned previously on Sunday. This is your second warning. Do not show up here expecting a Bible study because the doors will be locked and everyone else who is not here will be at home. You will get another warning. If you show up, I will not feel bad. With that said, there's camp meeting from July 2nd to the 5th. On the 5th, there's no service here in the PM service, but everyone is encouraged to go to the Pentecostals of Renfrew. That is at what, 6 o'clock? Okay, be there for that. And then July 13th to 17th is junior camp. And then on the 14th, we have the missionary Craig Sully here. That's everything from me. Craig, I believe it is all you.
And at this time, if you're a part of the recovery group, we welcome you to go ahead and join that group over in Kingsley Hall for your continued session. The main session, if you're not part of the recovery group, then you can stay right here with me. Now, I was working on writing this message last week, and I was thinking, as I was going through the idea and writing it out, I was thinking, goodness, this is kind of a pretty serious kind of topic and discussion here. It makes for a good Bible study, I think, but I was thinking is quite a serious discussion for a Tuesday night. It's like, God, are you sure this is what you want? But as Pastor mentioned in prayer on one of our morning prayer sessions, he mentioned the direction that he was going in for our Father's Day service, and then it kind of made more sense of like, okay, I think these two are harmonious together and work together. So tonight you can go ahead and throw up the title slide. We're going to be examining the book of Habakkuk, and specifically we're going to be talking tonight about learning to trust God again. For those who have gone through difficult times or sections or areas, portions of your life where you feel like you don't trust God maybe perhaps as much as you used to, or you're struggling to trust God currently. Because there are times in life whenever we pray for things, and either we don't get an answer to prayer, or rather we don't get the answer that we want to that prayer. And those times are extremely frustrating for us as human beings. And depending on the thing that we're praying for, those things can be extremely hurtful as well. And maybe, surprisingly perhaps so, there's actually a lot of examples within the Bible of people expressing their hurt towards God, telling God, God, I'm actually kind of disappointed in you. I am hurt by the way that things are going in my life. And for example, just a couple of weeks ago, Sister Macy spoke of the story of Ruth. And Naomi, the mother-in-law, comes back into town, her hometown, and she tells all of her old friends and all of her acquaintances, she says, don't call me Naomi anymore, call me Mara, because I am bitter. That's literally what that name means. Call me bitter. And she's probably as well angry. She's probably frustrated towards God. So that's one example of somebody who is literally changing their name and changing their identity in the public realm to say, I am bitter and angry at God. And she even comes back into town saying, God has dealt bitterly with me. He has dealt sorely with me. So there's not a healthy relationship there. Another example is in the book of 2 Kings chapter 4. Elisha asks a woman who has been helping him out. She has created kind of this little sleeping area in her house for him, and she and her husband have been hosting him as he travels through the area. And Elisha comes to this woman, and in thankfulness for what she has been doing for him, he says to her, what can I do for you? You have been such a help to me. Ask anything. I want to do something for you because you have been such a blessing to me that I have this place to stay as I travel around the country. And the woman replies, she says, oh, it's fine. Don't worry about anything. I live among my own people. It's all good. I don't need anything. But Elisha's servant speaks up and he says, Elisha, sir, she doesn't have a child. And so Elisha looks at her and he tells her in 2 Kings 4:16, he says, about this time next year, you are going to embrace a son. But look at her response. She says, no, my Lord, man of God, do not lie to your maidservant. So the woman's response, it shows her true inner depth of heart to what Elisha has said to her, because it stirs up a hidden grief that over the years and over the decades she had buried so deep down into her heart. So to have this man of God come and say, you're going to have a child, well, just like the other examples in the Bible, she is in old age. This is not in the realm of possibility. So her response, it shows to me this grief and this conflict between her and God that she has suffered with for many, many decades now, and is being brought up. And she says, why would you do this to me? Because I was able to bury it in my life where I wasn't dealing with it every single day. Right? Think about that. All through her younger years, she had to deal with this every single day. And now decades past the time when she could actually bear a child, she's finally perhaps gotten over this situation in her life, and the prophet of God comes in and he stirs up all of those emotions and he stirs up all of that hurt and pain, and she says, why are you doing this? And even later on, she says, I didn't ask you for this. I didn't even ask you for this. So that's another example. We see along those lines as well, you have Hannah in 1 Samuel chapter 1. She's another person who cannot be comforted. And she is in deep distress because she cannot have a child. And she has a hurt with God. She has conflict with God. She is having a hard time trusting God. And she has a great and wonderful husband. And her husband loves her so much that he gives her twice as much as he gives to anybody else. I mean, he pours his love on her. He blesses her greatly. And he even asks her, he says, am I your husband who loves you? Am I not better than 10 sons towards you? And that question goes unanswered. And the answer seems to be no, you are not. I love you, and I thank you for your love towards me. But there's something missing in my life. And my prayer is not being answered. And God is not hearing me. And I'm crying out to him, and nothing's happening to me. Nothing is changing in my situation. And there are many, many people in the Bible who are frustrated with God because they are not getting what they think they should have. And there are many, many people in the Bible who are frustrated with God who are not getting healed. And they're having a difficult time with God because they're wondering and they're asking him, God, why are you not healing me? I mean, we have Paul in the New Testament. He needs a healing, and he tells us, he asks 3 times. He prays 3 times to God, saying, God, can you please heal me of this thing? Can you please do something in my life? Get rid of this situation. And it doesn't happen. He doesn't receive his healing. Jeremiah 15, Jeremiah says in Jeremiah 15:18, he says, why is my pain perpetual? Why are you not delivering me from my pain? Why is my wound incurable? It refuses to be healed. Jeremiah says, God, I'm praying to you about this. I'm putting this situation into your hands. I'm trying to trust you with this, but it's not happening. The pain is still there. It's not being healed. Nothing's happening. Are you going to be unreliable to me? Are you going to be like waters that fail? I'm having serious trust issues with you, God. Asaph, he asks in the Psalms, he says, why am I suffering while those who ignore God are healthy? There are many, many people in the Bible who voice their frustrations with God and are deeply hurt with God because they seem to not be getting any answer at all. And these are all of these examples and these things that we've discussed so far in the Bible, these situations, they are very difficult situations to deal with. Not being healed, not having a child, going through a difficult marriage, going through these types of situations that you have to live with every day, right? It's not a situation where you go through a season of perhaps a week or a month's time and you know that there's going to be an end to this. That if I can just get through the next month, things will be okay. No, these are things that you've got to deal with every single day. And they torment your mind every single day. And when God doesn't answer those prayers that you really want answered, that's a very frustrating place to be. And if we're honest, we start to lose trust with God. Just like all of these examples in the Bible, we start to get angry and we start to get frustrated and we start to lose faith in him. And when you're in those situations where you have to have faith that God withholding something from you is actually better than you receiving that, that's a hard place to be. It's very difficult to trust that this is actually the best thing for you. When you sincerely feel that God providing this thing for you would be a blessing, it would be an answer to prayer, like it would be positive, there's no negative, there's no drawback, like this is a healthy, good thing that we're talking about. And when you've been faithful in serving God, when you've been consistent, and still there's nothing in all of that, it's hard to have comfort in your life during those times. And it's hard to be able to come to church and sit in service and respond in the altar and say, God, I still trust you. And God, I still have faith in you. It's hard to trust God when something that you really want and you know God can do is not happening. And that's why we will get to the book of Habakkuk here tonight, and we're going to study the book of Habakkuk here tonight because it's an amazing example of going through times where God is not responding like we want him to respond. And it's going to show us that we as humanity are able to have the ability to trust in God no matter the direction that things go. See, in the book of Ruth, I've referenced Ruth for a moment. In the book of Ruth, Naomi has a point in time. She comes back to town. She's very bitter. She's like, everybody just call me bitter. I'm having a terrible time. But there's a point in time in that story where Ruth goes out to the field and she gathers in some food and she comes home and we see Naomi is completely transformed. She sees Boaz has been providing for Ruth. She sees, wait a minute, God is doing something here. God is looking out for me and my family. And Naomi has a point in time where she sees God is doing something, and she has a point of hope to look forward to and to hope on and to pray about and say, I can identify this pinpoint of hope. Things have not looked good, but I see that God is starting to do something here. And we see this kind of completely transformative moment in the life of Naomi where she sees God begins to do something and her whole attitude is restored. And she starts to look to God and she starts to encourage Ruth and saying, God is going to do something and you got to go and talk to Boaz and something's happening here. And this is incredible. And her whole spirit is restored and rejuvenated. And that's great. That's amazing. And that's the situation that we would all rather live in, that we would have a point in time where we could say in our situation, in our life, I see that God is doing something here. I know things have been difficult for a while, but I can identify that God is working behind the scenes. But there's also times and situations where we don't have that point of reference, where we can't look at anything and say things are getting better. And that's what Habakkuk is going to show us. So Habakkuk is a very short book. It's 3 chapters long, but it's got an incredibly important lesson for us to learn. And it's a difficult one. It's really hard to enact in our lives. But it shows us that we as humanity are able to trust God even while things get worse. Habakkuk, he's a prophet. He lives in the land of Judah right before the Babylon invasion. So if we think about this time period, we understand that he's living in the nation of Judah right before they are getting invaded. So if the invasion is the kind of vehicle of God's judgment, obviously Judah is not doing well at this point in time, right? They are an evil, corrupt, sinful nation. And Habakkuk, he begins the book by complaining of all of the evil that is happening in Judah. And so let's take a look at it. Habakkuk chapter 1, verses 2-4. He says, O Lord, how long shall I cry? And you are not going to listen to me. God, why aren't you paying attention to me? Because it's not that I'm not praying. I'm crying out to you. Why are you not listening to me? How long shall I cry and you not hear? Even cry out to you. I'm telling you, God, there's violence and you are not saving anybody. God, I'm bringing this problem to you and you're not doing anything. Verse 3 says, why do you show me iniquity and cause me to see trouble? Here's what's going on here. There's plundering, there's violence before me, there's strife, contention arises. God, this is not a safe city. This is a dangerous place. This is an evil place to live. And therefore the law is powerless and justice never goes forth and the wicked surround the righteous. God, do you not care about the righteous people? Because I remember all the way back in Sodom and Gomorrah, you saved Lot from that city because there's one righteous person and you brought him out of the city. But it feels like to me, Habakkuk says, you don't care about the righteous people right now. And perverse judgment proceeds. Wicked and evil are winning in this city, Habakkuk says. Why aren't you doing anything about it? And God's response, at least to me, is quite disconcerting. It's very concerning if you were Habakkuk. God responds, verse 5. He says, look out among the nations and watch. Be utterly astounded, because I am going to do a work in your days which you would not believe, even if I told it to you. So if you're Habakkuk and you say to God and you say, everything is terrible, the city is awful, there's so many sinful, evil people, and God responds to you and he says, I am going to do something that's going to blow your mind. As Habakkuk, you'd be sitting there and you'd be like, wow, I finally got God's attention. I don't know what made like this prayer different than the other prayers. Like maybe he's responding because I got maybe a little too much angry at him this time, but he's responding. I got his attention. He says, look at what I'm going to do. I'm going to do something that even if I told you, you're not going to believe it. And so Habakkuk, he might even get a little excited and say, wow, God is going to move here. God's going to like praise the Lord. God's going to intervene. God's going to do something, and he's going to pour out judgment on the evil people, and he's going to vindicate the righteous, and this is going to be incredible. God is going to save us. And then God says in verse 6, he says, for indeed I am raising up the Chaldeans, a bitter and hasty nation, which marches through the breadth of the earth to possess dwelling places that are not theirs. They are terrible. They're dreadful. Their judgment and their dignity proceed from themselves. Their horses, they're very swift like leopards. They are more fierce even than the wolves. Their chargers charge ahead. The cavalry comes, and they fly as the eagle that hastens to eat. And Habakkuk is just, like, I imagine him just sitting there like, dude, when you told me that I was not going to be able to comprehend what you were going to do, I did not comprehend how much my comprehension was going to be incomprehensible, to be honest. I tell you that things are bad and people are evil in the city. And you tell me, watch this. You see these evil and terrible people over here? I'm going to point them straight in your direction. And they're going to fly across the land. And they're going to come into this place. And they're going to take over. So Habakkuk is literally asking God, he's like, you're telling me that the answer to the problem is stirring up a bigger problem. And sending, specifically, you are mailing us a bigger problem than what we have right here. Verse 9, God says, they all come for violence. Okay, that's literally what you're saying. You are sending me an even worse situation. That is literally what you're telling me. Their faces are set like the east wind. They gather captives like sand, which is, by the way, going to be you. Oh, thanks, God. They scoff at kings. Princes are scorned by them. They deride every stronghold because they heap up earthen mounds. They seize it. And after all of that, after they capture the city, the people, the commanders, they change their mind. They transgress and they commit offense and they ascribe the power to their God. So not only, God, are you going to make things worse, Habakkuk says, but the people that you're sending to bring judgment against us, they're going to give the credit for everything that they do, which is great military feats. They're going to give all the credit to false gods, even though they know you're the one who sent them. What kind of answer is this? I tell you things are bad, and you tell me, watch this, I'm going to make it worse. Habakkuk, if I was Habakkuk, I would have wished I genuinely never prayed. Things would have been better if I hadn't have even prayed. Just stop. I don't know. Like, I should have never talked to you in the first place. And Habakkuk is shocked because the answer to the problem is worse than the original problem. And so Habakkuk, like any of us, he responds to God and he says, God, of all the ways to deal with this situation, why are you choosing this option? Yes, I understand. My nation is sinful. I told you it. I recognize it. Like, I don't have blinders on here. I know we're corrupt. We're sinful. We're unrighteous. We're evil. We're even ourselves. We're serving false gods and idols. I get it. We have wicked hearts. We are bad people. And I acknowledge that we've got problems. And I acknowledge that things are not good right now. But in my mind and in my understanding of the world, Habakkuk says, why on earth are you taking this course of action? This doesn't feel like a very godly course of action. Why are you bringing in a sinful and evil nation that is even more evil than us as the agent of your judgment? I know that I cried out to you for correction, and I prayed to you over this particular situation. I wanted you to judge the wicked. I did. And Habakkuk's problem isn't that God is going to take care of the problem, but Habakkuk says, my problem is how you are choosing to take care of the problem. Because honestly, God, it's breaking my brain. I don't understand what you're doing here. I know that you hate wickedness and evil, Habakkuk says. I know your character. I know who you are as the God that I've served. And I know that you cannot look on wickedness. So why are you choosing to allow this wicked nation to come and to judge us? God, this doesn't make sense to me. I'm asking you to make things better, and you tell me you're going to make things worse. How do I trust you in all of this? The way that you're acting, the things that you're allowing to happen, I don't like them. They don't make me comfortable. I don't want to live through them. Can we find some different way? Can we find some different path forward? Because this doesn't make sense. Like, why don't we do things like whenever we had Elijah, and we'll bring all the evil people to Mount Carmel, and we'll have, a big fire offering showdown, and then we can kill all the evil people. And all the people can see that you're still God and that you still exist and that we should serve you. Like, why can't we do things like that? Like, I'll be your person. I'll be your guy. I'll do the sacrifice. I'll drench the area with water 6 times. Why are you making things worse? God, I want you to solve the problem, but I don't want you to solve it like this, because in my opinion, this makes everything worse. And in my opinion, this isn't even a solution. This is just everything getting worse. Just allowing Babylon to go unchecked, to take us into captivity and to take us into slavery. And Habakkuk says, in Habakkuk 2:1, he voices all of these concerns that I've been talking to you about. And after he voices all those concerns, he says in Habakkuk 2:1, he says, I'm going to stand here and I'm going to watch. I'm going to set myself right here, and I'm going to watch and to see what God is going to say to me. And after I find out what God says to me, then I'll figure out how I'm going to answer him after he corrects me. I'm going to stand right here and wait for my answer. I don't even know when my answer is going to come, but I'm going to wait for it. And Habakkuk, he's not having like this bold or bad attitude where he's like, God, I demand an answer. No, he says, God, I'm going to wait here, and you can choose to answer me or not. I'm not making a demand of God. I'm not saying you need to answer me in 5 minutes or I'm leaving. I'm not having, that kind of bad attitude. I'm just going to stand here, and God, I'm just going to wait on you. And Habakkuk, for all of his very valid and honest questions that any of us would have in that situation, he has incredible wisdom and incredible character to say, first of all, I'll just stay here and wait for an answer if you choose to respond. That's a lot of character. After receiving an answer that he absolutely hated, after receiving an answer that says everything's going to get worse, Habakkuk has the character to stand there and say, God, I'll wait, and I'll just allow you to respond to me if you want to. And then even more so, added on to that, the incredible character of Habakkuk to say, and after you answer me, if you choose to do so, I don't know what I'm going to say, because I know that somehow right now I've got things wrong. I don't know what I'm going to answer God whenever he corrects me. I don't know what I'm going to say to God whenever he corrects me. What a statement that is after hearing what Habakkuk has heard. Habakkuk, he's in deep distress over God's response. He doesn't understand what's going on, and neither does he agree with God's course of action. And yet he still has the maturity to stand there and the wisdom to say, I'll see how I respond after God corrects me. Because even though I don't like it, and even though I don't agree with it, I know that somehow God is right. And as Habakkuk asks his questions to God, he does it in such a way that his attitude towards God is this: God, I don't understand what you're doing, and I don't get it, but I know that you are right in what you are doing. So please correct me. And what a difficult thing to do. God, I don't agree with you, so fix me. Correct me. What a difficult thing to walk through in life, especially whenever we have the emotions of frustration, of bewilderment, and are going through a situation where we're already having a very difficult time trusting God. God, correct me. What an ability that Habakkuk possesses to understand that he doesn't understand. And to understand that even though he feels frustrated and abandoned and hurt by God himself, to understand that it's him who needs to be corrected and not God. That's a very emotionally and spiritually mature response. Because not many people would take that route. Because it's a very difficult route to take. It's not the easy road to go through. To suffer, to not understand what God is doing, and to still have an attitude and a mentality that says, God, I need correction and guidance still. I've been doubting you. I've been frustrated by you. I've not been understanding you at all. I feel like I should be getting this thing in my life. I feel like I should be getting this answer, this prayer met. I feel like I've been faithful. I've been showing up. I've been consistent with you. I've been praying over it. I've been faithful. In the midst of not receiving this prayer, I've been faithful. To go through all of that and to still ask God to correct you in the middle of all of that, that is a very hard thing to do. It is so much easier to be self-justified in your hurt and frustration and walk away and say, God, you're the one who's wrong. It's so much easier to do that than to say, God, I need you to correct me. But if we are going to start reestablishing and rebuilding a relationship of trusting God again, then we do have to recognize that it's us. We are the ones that need correction. And that's a very difficult thing to realize, accept, and to act on. Because the truth is that it's not God who has stopped loving us. And it's not God who stopped caring about us. And it's not God who started to ignore us and he doesn't see us, or somehow he doesn't know what we're going through. He still knows all those things. He still loves us, and he still very deeply cares about us. So it's not God who needs to be corrected in any situation. As much as we feel that he is the one who needs to be corrected, he is not the one. Funnily enough, we see this sentiment played out in the book of Lamentations. Lamentations 3, 17 and 18. It says, you have moved my soul very far from peace. I have forgotten prosperity, and I said, my strength and my hope, my trust has perished from the Lord. My trust in God is dead. And that rings very true whenever you're walking through those types of situations. My soul is far from peace, and I said to myself, my hope in God is dead. It's perished. I don't have anything to hope for anymore because things aren't working. I've been praying for this thing. I've been believing for this thing, and my hope is gone, and my strength to even have faith for it is gone. And I know that I'm supposed to hope in the Lord, but my hope and my faith is dead and gone. And the next two verses, they talk about remembering the bitterness and the affliction that the person is going through in the situation in life. And somehow through all of this, just a couple verses later, this person who's going through this terrible time in life, they proclaim in verse 21, he says, this I recall to my mind. Therefore, I have hope. This is the same person who just a couple verses earlier said, their hope was completely dead and their trust was completely dead. But they've gone through a mental transformation where they say, therefore I have hope. Through the mercies, through the Lord's mercies, we are not consumed because his compassions fail not. They are new every single morning. Great is your faithfulness. So God is not the one who needs to be corrected because he has never treated us wrong. It's through his mercies, the person who is writing a lament, a grief. They say it's through God's mercies that I'm still alive. It's because of his mercy that I'm still here. In the middle of a lamentation, he says, his compassion and his care for me has never failed. In fact, his compassion for me is new every single day. Every single day that I wake up, my God still cares for me. And every single day that I wake up, my God that I serve and that maybe sometimes I don't even understand, and the God that sometimes I'm angry at, he's still thinking about me. And every single day that I wake up, the God that loves me, still cares about me, is thinking about me, and he knows exactly what I'm going through. Great is the faithfulness of God, he says. He does not need to be corrected because he has never stopped loving me. He has never stopped caring for me, and he knows exactly where I am, exactly what I'm going through. So God does not need to be rebuked because he knows what I'm going through, and he knows where I'm at every single day. So I know that from my perspective, I know that what I'm going through and in my situation in life, from an earthly perspective, I have no reason to have hope. Yet from the perspective of heaven, I can say this, verse 24, the Lord is my portion, says my soul. Therefore, I have hope in him. I can trust in him. The Lord is good to those who wait on him. So I know that what I've been waiting on for a while now. And maybe I've been waiting on him for years. Maybe I've been waiting on him for decades. Maybe my hope and my faith and my trust, they've been battered away decade after decade now. And from my point of view, from an earthly perspective, there's not a whole lot to be positive about. But from God's point of view, he still cares for me. And every single day that I woke up and all of that time, he still loves me. And I still have a reason to have hope. And I still have a reason that I can wake up and have a positive outlook for the future. Because I may not be happy with how long I have to wait. But I do know this. If I do wait, he does have something good for me. I will see it eventually. Even if I don't see it in this life, I will see it eventually. So in the middle of a lament, in the middle of somebody expressing their deep sorrow and grief, they can still recognize, hey, I'm not happy with what's happening in my life. I am grieved. I am sad. I may be even angry with God at what is happening. But even through all of that, I can get to a point and I can understand that God is not the one who needs to be corrected. It's the same declaration that we see Habakkuk say. I know that somehow it's me who needs to be changed. Somehow it's me who needs to be corrected. Like Mara, I may be bitter. And like Job, I may be pretty confused right now. But I know that God is still good. Somehow I've got to wrap my mind around that, to know that God is still good. And despite all of the evidence that is currently surrounding me, and maybe has been surrounding me for quite a long time, I should still trust him. So God is not the one who needs to be corrected. But in some way, I am the one who needs to be corrected. And God, I await for your correction. That is Habakkuk's response to God. God, please give me an answer. Please give me correction. And God responds to Habakkuk's complaints that he, God, is making everything worse rather than better. And God speaks to Habakkuk. And before giving him the prophetic words of what is going to happen and what he's going to do, he says this, Habakkuk 2:4. He says, behold the proud. His soul is not right in him. He's not doing things right. But the just shall live by faith. Here's the correction you need, Habakkuk. The just shall live by faith. I'll give you the answer of what I'm going to do, and I know you're not going to like it, But there's something very important that you need to understand. And this is a thought, this is a sentiment repeated over and over and over again in the Bible. The just shall live by faith. Look, I know that you are in distress with what you are going through, and I know that you are not happy with what is happening right now. But am I not the one who created you? Am I unaware of the situation? I know that your circumstances and your situation, I know exactly what it looks like right now. And that's why I'm telling you, before I give you the answer, Habakkuk, before I tell you what I'm going to do, the just shall live by faith. I know it's hard for you to trust me right now because you're looking at everything that's going on. And I'm going to give you the answer, and you're not going to like it. So I know that everything right now in your life is difficult and it's not very pleasant to live through. So I'm telling you this before I tell you anything else. I need you to trust me. I need you to have faith in me. Our relationship with God, perhaps too many times, is very circumstantial. And God is telling Habakkuk right here, before he tells him what he's going to do, before he tells him everything that's going to happen, he says, Habakkuk, I need your relationship with me to not be circumstantial. Because some Christians, their relationship with God is based upon things that happen, things that they do, their works, that, as long as they're putting in effort and they're doing good things and they're seeing positive results and we're, having first-time visitors come to the church, then we'll serve God because everything is working good. And some people's relationship with God is based upon feelings, that as long as the song service is emotional, and as long as the preaching is exciting and it moves me, then I'll show up to church and I'll be faithful to God. And some people's relationships with God is based upon their very circumstances of life, that as long as what they're living through isn't too difficult, and as long as they don't experience too much discomfort, then they'll continue to serve God. But all of those examples are not based upon faith. All of those relationships are circumstantial. That as long as this is happening, or as long as this is going decently well, then I'll be here and I'll show up and I'll serve you. But if that condition is not met, then I'm leaving. All of those relationships, all those situations are circumstantial. So God requires our relationship with him to go beyond our current reality. And I say that God requires it because Hebrews 11:6, it tells us, but without faith, it's impossible to please God. It's not going to happen. God requires faith in our relationship with him. Now, what is faith? If we back up 5 verses, Hebrews 11 tells us, faith is the substance of things hoped for. It's the evidence of things not seen. So faith goes beyond our senses. Faith goes beyond what we see, what we hear, what we can touch, everything tangible. It goes beyond that. Faith goes beyond our current experience. It goes beyond our current point in time. It goes beyond our current circumstances. And faith is the willingness to trust God. The willingness to trust God and believe that he's going to work things out. And the Bible says, we're told, the just, God proclaims himself, the just shall live by faith. The just have to live by a relationship of trust, even when it's incredibly difficult to do that. Maybe a lot of Christians' relationships are based upon the here and now, what we're currently doing, what we're currently going through. But God says the true Christian's relationship with him exceeds and goes beyond everything that we're currently experiencing. The true Christian's relationship with God, it is based upon faith. Trusting in God that somehow, someday, things are going to work out for the good of those who love the Lord. That even if things presently get worse, somehow God will bring me through it. Somehow something good is going to happen at some point in time in the future. The ability to step out of the point of time that we currently find ourselves in and proclaim that even honestly, I have no idea how this is going to happen. I don't know how it's going to work out. And to be honest, sometimes I even doubt if it's possible. I don't even know if it's possible. But I'm choosing to believe and I'm choosing to trust that God is still good, that he still loves me, that he still cares for me, and that he's going to bring me through this. He's going to help me deal with it. And at some future point in time, things are going to be all right. I'm choosing to live by faith. I'm choosing to have a relationship where I trust God no matter what's happening around me. Whether things get better or whether things get worse, I'm choosing to trust in God. And in the reality of earth, that's a ridiculous statement, that we would choose to trust in God even if things get worse. That is a wild statement. It doesn't make sense. I choose to trust in God even though my life is getting worse. In our earthly reality, that doesn't make any sense. Why would you trust in a God when your life is getting worse? Clearly, God is not working. The, rational response would be. But in the reality of heaven and in the reality of God, that makes perfect sense. Because the reality for those who choose to trust in God is that what happens here on earth, the good, the bad, it stays here. And we move on. Everything that happens in this life, we're told don't store up your treasures here on earth. Store them up in heaven because you can't take them with you. Things aren't going up with us. We're the ones leaving. We will live in the new reality into eternity, but we can't bring things with us. So from God's point of view, from the heavenly perspective, it makes sense to say that we can trust in God even if things get worse, because our present reality is not our final reality. We have a final reality, and it's not here. This world is not my home. I'm just passing through, and I'm getting to my final reality someday. And so that's the reason that I can choose to have hope, and that's the reason that I can choose to trust in God. And that's the reason that I can make that statement, and I can live that way, that I can make the statement that I'm going to trust in God even if things get worse. Because this world is not my final resting place, but I'm ending my life in a much greater place. And it's so much better than this. And that's the reason that I can trust in God. What happens here on earth sets us up for what is going to happen in eternity. And Paul puts it this way. He says in Romans 8:18, he says, I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory that is going to be revealed in us. So eternity is the ultimate destination. And what I am going to receive for my trust in God and my obedience to him, what I receive for trusting God puts what I'm currently going through to shame. No matter the good or the bad. It puts it to shame. What I am going to inherit greatly outweighs what I currently feel I am missing. What I am going to receive in heaven, the joy that I am going to experience, totally dwarfs the misery that I am currently experiencing. Now, reality is, unfortunately, that doesn't mean that we don't have to deal with our current reality or current circumstance anymore. Right? I'm not going to lie to you. It's still very hard to continue to live through what you are living through, to live through your current experience. But Paul says, and what he says is very true and it has merit. I know that you really want whatever it is that you're praying for. I know you want an answer. And I'm not saying you won't get it. But through a life of faith, through a life of trust, we can look forward to a future where God is going to wipe every single tear away from our eye. Everything that we feel like we missed out on. Every single circumstance in our life where we feel like God let us down. All of that one day is going to be wiped away. And the joy and the jubilation of spending eternity with him is going to completely dwarf and overwhelm any sadness that we experience here on earth. And I'm not trying to downplay what you're going through, right? I'm not trying to downplay it, but at the same time, I refuse to downplay the joy of heaven. And I refuse to diminish the perfect peace that you are going to experience when you live forever in his presence. I understand that the now is difficult, but I'm not going to let that wipe away my trust that one day everything is going to be peaceful and it's going to be perfect and it's going to be joyful, and everything that I lived through in this life and I wasn't happy about it, it's not even going to matter to me anymore. I'm not diminishing what you're living through, but I'm not going to diminish heaven either, because it is going to be perfect. It is going to be amazing, and it will be joyful, and it's going to be incredible. But that future reality comes through faith. It comes through our present trust in God. So somehow we need to get ourselves to a place where we can say, even when everything gets worse, I choose to still trust him. We have to find a way to restore our trust in God, to get to that place where we can say, even if life gets worse, I will trust him. And this is how the book of Habakkuk ends. Habakkuk chapter 3, verse 17. It says, though the fig tree may not blossom, and nor fruit be on the vines, and though the labor of the olive oil fails, and the field yields no food, though the flock may be cut off from the field, and there be no herd in the stalls, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will joy in the God of my salvation. This is how the book ends. These are the last two of the three verses of the entire book before it finishes. Everything has gotten worse, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. Nothing has improved. The famine hasn't ended. It's gotten worse. The invasion is still coming. The crops are failing. Everything around me is more terrible than it was before. But Habakkuk closes with this statement: I will trust in God. And even more than that, actually, my trust is not going to be a depressed trust. My trust in him is not going to be a sad trust. I will rejoice in the Lord. I will literally have joy in the God of my salvation. What a statement to finish. I will have joy because my trust is in God. And this is not some, flimsy, I'm just going to think positively and everything is flowers and rainbows and marshmallows. This is, even though I know things are terribly wrong, and even though I see things getting worse, I still choose to trust him. And I understand that I don't understand everything. But I'm choosing to trust in God and have an experience with him where I can still come into service even through what I'm living through, and I can lift my hands and I can praise God. And even with what I am living through, I can still not cry myself to sleep at night, but I can feel his peace and I can feel his joy in my heart. I can know the joy of salvation because I choose to trust in the one who is greater than everything that I am going through. It's not that we're blocking out reality, but rather it's choosing and learning to trust in the God who is in control of everything. So I'll conclude by saying this. If you do not believe that things can get better, if you do not believe that God has the ability to give you comfort in the middle of what you're going through, if you do not believe that even though things are getting worse, God is still in control, if you don't believe that there's still a reason to have hope and to have trust, then I challenge you today that you do not believe in God. because God is able to do all of those things. That is the very reason to believe in him. That is the very reason to have faith and to have trust in him. That you would know God, that you would have faith in him, and that he is a rewarder of those who diligently seek him. He does good to those who seek him. So if you can't believe that things will turn around, then you do not believe and you do not trust in God. And so I don't know where you are in your point. I don't know where you are in your level of trusting him. But if you have been having trouble trusting God, having hope, having faith, experiencing joy, if you have been having trouble with those things, then I encourage you to begin to rebuild that relationship with of trust in God. It's going to take time. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be a mental battle. It takes time. We see the process of time in the Bible. These things didn't happen in 2 minutes. But I challenge you to begin to work to restore your trust again, because he is worthy of your trust. And he is able to give you peace in your life. And the problem and the correction that we need to make in our understanding is this. In all situations that we go through, it's not that God didn't answer prayer. It's that God's plan didn't align with our human ideas. And that's where the disagreement comes in. But I want to encourage you today, begin to restore a relationship of trust with God. It is a requirement to have faith, to trust in him, that he loves you, that he still cares for you. He's not the one who needs to be corrected. We are. If you would stand with me, we'll pray here together. Lord, I understand and I acknowledge that this is a very hard thing to live through and to go through. God, is an incredibly difficult thing that as we go through these types of seasons and situations in our life, to make the statement of God, correct me. God, fix me. And I know that we have had and we experience frustration towards you. We experience even anger towards you. Our relationship of trust in you decays. But God, I pray that we would take charge in our lives to restore a relationship of trust with you. Because God, you are still worthy of that trust. You have never abandoned us, God. You have never left us. God, you are aware of exactly where we are right now. God, you understand what we are going through every single day. God, you still love us. You still care for us, God. Every single day that we wake up, your mercies are fresh and new. Your compassion does not fail for us, God. You care so deeply for us each and every single day. Even the days that we find miserable, God, you are still there caring for us, loving us, watching over us, God. Your hand is still there upon us, even if we're having trouble seeing it. And God, I pray that you would work in our hearts and minds here today, God, that we would begin having healing in our hearts and minds, understanding that you are still there, understanding that you still love us despite everything that we're going through, even when all of our present earthly reality shows us that there's no reason to hope. God, I pray that we would choose to have hope and to have trust in you. God, I pray that for those who have been struggling to find that peace, God, that they would be able to feel your presence and to feel the peace of your presence and to feel your spirit close to them, that comfort to them. God, I know that it's difficult to feel comfort as we go through these times in our lives, but God, I pray that as we trust in you and as we reach out to you, Lord, you say you will reward us. You say that you will be there for us. And I pray that you would help us, God, through all of these things. I pray that we would make a determined effort, God, to be faithful to you and to choose to trust you again. Help us to restore our relationship with you. God, you are a God of healing and you are the God of restoration. You have restored all of humanity that accepts you and chooses you, God. I pray that you would help us in our relationship with you. Be with us in Jesus' name. We love you today, God, and we choose to trust in you, knowing, God, what a beautiful, beautiful future awaits us. We love you today, God. Be with us in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. God bless you. Thank you for being here tonight. Have a wonderful week. We will see you back here on Sunday. Amen.